Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallam. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for inviting me and thank you for coming on a Sunday evening when you could be sitting at home and enjoying the company of your families in the warmth. It's particularly cold for me because I've literally landed from Africa at Gatwick and come here straight. From 45 degrees to probably minus 1 or 2 today. It is very cold, I can tell you. Alhamdulillah, it's good to be back. I've been asked to give a talk about Muslims living and leading a way in the 21st century world and our responsibilities and duties here, especially in the West. Something that I always talk about. It is no longer, my brothers and sisters, very fashionable to be Muslim. In fact, it was never fashionable to be a Muslim. It is, of course, not acceptable to be a Muslim anymore because we are getting attacked left, right and center for simply being a Muslim. Girls are taking their hijabs off because they don't want to be seen to be Muslims. Boys are scared of asking for a prayer space where they need to pray at their schools or colleges. Kids are being harassed left, right and center. Children are being taken to security services for writing spelling mistakes. Do you know that story? A boy wrote a terrorist house and poor little boy wrote terrorist house. I can imagine why he may have made this mistake. He must have seen the word terrorist on the screen 24 hours a day, all the time. Terrorist, terrorist, terrorist. Are you surprised that subliminally, at the conscious background of his mind, instead of terrorist, he automatically must have been driven to write terrorist. And because he made this spelling mistake, immediately the teacher reported him to the security services and he was questioned. So it's no longer very easy for Muslims to practice and express their faith in the UK. And relatively speaking, we are better off than many other European countries today. So while we should be thankful to Allah, we should also stand firm and resolute that no matter what happens, no matter who says what, we are not going to compromise or give up our fundamentals of our faith under any circumstances. This should be a resolute promise to all of you and me. Internally, we should believe this, that we should not be pushed and forced to give up our religion and our values. Why is it okay for a girl to be told to take her hijab off, otherwise she is not a good enough citizen of our country? Why? It is not okay for somebody to say that. It is not okay to make our girls feel so humiliated and so small just because she has chosen to wear a headscarf. It is not okay. For those right-wingers, for those people who pander to the racists and the fanatics of our country, the message is clear. It's not acceptable. Why should our children come home and be afraid of identifying themselves as Muslims? Why? It is not okay for the media to continuously report negative stories about Muslims. It is not okay. And you and I must struggle, just like we struggle to make racism not fashionable. We must struggle to ensure that Islamophobia is not fashionable. Attacking one Muslim should be considered an attack against every citizen of our country. And for this to happen, you and I have a huge mountain to climb. A big mountain to climb. Because my brothers and sisters, let's face it, we are also at fault for not doing enough, not doing the right thing, and not having a clear vision of what Islam is truly and what Islam should be in Britain. A few weeks ago, on BBC question program, Sunday morning question program, Big Question, they had a group of Muslims who were debating about British Islam. They invited me, and I'm so glad I didn't go. Alhamdulillah. Because it was not a debate. It was a farce. It was a fight between the Muslims, the rejectionists, those who want to change Islam completely, the traditionalists, those who want to hold on to anything and everything to do with their cultures and their background, regardless of their context and their text, against those who want to reform. It was a visible fight on BBC for millions of Muslims and non-Muslims to watch. And many of my non-Muslim friends were disgusted by the behavior of Muslims on that program. We did not portray an image of Islam that we could practice in Britain. We did not articulate a vision for Islam in Britain for non-Muslims of British society to understand and feel at home. We did not do a good job of clarifying the misconceptions. All we saw on that program was an argument, a big farce between a group of Muslims, supposedly scholars and experts. My brothers and sisters, at community level, we are creating small ghettos in our own environments where only, and forgive me for saying, Sri Lankans mix with Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis mix with Bangladeshis, Pakistanis hang out with Pakistanis, Arabs with Arabs. If you are in Britain and if you are going to be portraying Islam as a universal religion beyond color, beyond language, beyond nationality, beyond culture, this kind of ghetto mentality and this kind of ghettoism isn't giving even a faintest clarity to your vision of Islam for Britain. It isn't. So we are also at fault. Muslims are deeply divided across this country. You know, in some of the mosques it is true that Muslim women are not allowed to pray. In some of the mosques it is true that Muslim women are prevented from going to the mosque by some people. Not all mosques. I said some of the mosques. I know this because I go to those mosques and I talk about it. Don't go too far away, go to central London. In Piccadilly Circus, there's a mosque where a sister's not allowed. In Piccadilly Circus, in the middle of London. Many sisters write to me and say, brother, where do we go and pray? We work in the city. We're Muslims, we need to pray, but these men won't allow us in the mosque. Please help. One sister told me, please mediate. If you don't mediate, we're going to go to the media. There is a degree of fault that lies with us, that we have not yet articulated a vision for ourselves that we can practice in Britain, and a vision for the Muslims of this country to understand, embrace, and be happy about. We still have in some masajids imams who don't speak English. And that is not acceptable, brothers and sisters. It is not acceptable. Would you employ in Sri Lanka an imam speaking Chinese? No. Imagine in Sri Lanka, you have an imam who speaks only Chinese. Doesn't speak Tamil, doesn't speak Sinhalese, doesn't speak any local language, just speaks Chinese. Would you accept that? No. And yet we accept imams living in Britain not speaking English. It is not acceptable. It is not acceptable that we are not rising to the challenge and we're not realizing the damage that we are causing by remaining so backward, so insular, and not becoming bigger in our thinking, in our minds, in our behavior. We are also at fault. I say to you, I can give you lists of many more troubles in our communities. Superstition, backwardness, ill education is still rampant. I'm not talking about you. I think you're different. The fact that you're here to learn, the fact that you've got scholars here who are very prepared to teach you in a language that you can understand. And of course, you have access to English. It indicates that you're not the same. But you don't have to go very far to know that people still don't understand their religion. They don't even understand the very basics of their religion. I'll give you an example. As soon as the imam starts reciting the Quran, they put a headscarf on their head. And as soon as the recitation is over, they take it off. It's a very Pakistani practice. prevalent within Pakistani community. The Imam says something in Arabic, they put the scarf on. And as soon as he finishes, the scarf comes on. And I've seen very professional ladies behaving like this. They're doctors. They're, accountants, people of great esteem in their community. And I asked them, why do you do this? What do you mean? Why do you put this on and take it off? Oh, we'd never thought of that. Everyone does it, so we do it. So have you suspended use of your brain when it comes to Islam? I'll give you a good example. In Bangladesh, there was a problem. It's not a problem here, but I will illustrate this problem to us. In Bangladesh, there was a problem. On the sides of many streets, men would stand and urinate. This was an open problem. In India, Bangladesh, I'm not in Sri Lanka, but I know this is a problem. And Bangladeshi government couldn't stop this from happening. They tried everything. Signs, fines, police, doesn't stop. What should they do? There are no public toilets. It continued. And of course, it was causing health hazard. Somebody came up with a brilliant idea. The sign in Bengali language which says, please do not urinate, was washed away with paint and replaced with Arabic writing saying the same thing. Do not urinate here in Arabic. Anybody who came looked at the Arabic and left. They did not even read and did not even understand what it said on the wall. The fact that it is Arabic was enough for them to stop what they're doing. Now, look, it's funny, right? But it just shows where Muslim mind has become reduced to and how small we have become when it comes to our religion. I saw an uncle picking up a newspaper which is written in Arabic in the underground, in one of the trains. Somebody was standing on it. He went and said, excuse me, picked it up. And he held it. And I was sitting next to him. I said to him, uncle, what's this? He goes, it's Arabic. I said, but this is a newspaper. And I took it up from his hand, and he was doing a review of a Hollywood film. I said to him, you're giving reverence to an Arabic piece of paper because you thought it was Arabic language, the language of the Quran. You've got your heart in the right place. Let me give you that. You've got the heart in the right place. But what use is your reverence to the Quran when you don't know the Quran, when you do not understand the Quran, and when you cannot distinguish between Quran and a Hollywood film review? So my brothers and sisters, we are at fault in many ways. We're not opening up and widening our horizon. We're not becoming people who think big, who are visionaries, who are not bogged down about the length of the beard, who are not bogged down about the length of the trousers, and not bogged down with the colors of the hijab. They're not bogged down in any of these things. We're not becoming visionaries. My dear brothers and sisters, this is a problem. Unless we overcome this, we will remain a community in the eyes of non-Muslims laughable. Don't laugh at us. So I'm asking you to think big. I'm asking you to think real. I'm asking you to think you are in Britain. You're no longer in Sri Lanka. You are in Britain. What is Britain compared to other countries? Just think about it. I was in the Gambia for 10 days. People of Gambia, beautiful people, very Islamic people. Everyone is praying. Alhamdulillah, as soon as the adhan goes, it's a very good culture, they pray. So I said to the local Gambians, please tell me, these people pray, right? They pray. Why do they pray? Because Allah said so. Allah also says, our Prophet ﷺ says, Al-Nawzafatu min al-Iman. Cleanliness is part of your Iman. They pray, but they keep their environment unclean. They eat, they throw their rubbish right underneath them. They don't clean it up. What is the point of praying? If you cannot understand that what they're clean, the brother said to me, I said, yes, they're clean by making wudu. But wudu isn't just your cleanliness. Your environment must also be clean. We as people must become visionary. We were, my brothers and sisters. You know the Black Plague that killed millions of people in this country. You know, thousands and thousands of people died. There is a saying, according to historians, that if people in Britain in those days had bath once in their life, half of those people who died would have not died. That's how disgusting the hygiene level in Britain were. When Muslims had, in every street corner, in every city of Spain, public bath. You cannot even enter a city without visiting the public bath. Clean yourself, make wudu, and then enter the city. My family lived in Ronda for 2 years in Spain. Ronda is a mountain city. surrounded by walls when the Muslims were ruling. The entrance was through a public bath. Anybody, Muslims or non-Muslims, must enter the public bath before you enter the city. Go in there, clean yourself, and then come to the city. Wow, what a standard. And yet today, you and I are not seen as people who are progressive, or clean, or big, or thinking wider, or visionary. We're not. Something has gone wrong. Every time I go to a mosque, every Jum'ah khutbah is about how to pray better, how to make wudu better, how to wear your hijab better, how to be more clean. Wallahi, these books are available. Go and pick up a book. You don't need a khutbah on this topic every Jum'ah. You don't need them. You need social khutbahs that will awake you and create a wave within you which will make you think. That's what we need, but we don't have those. We need to start thinking. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ ادْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍّ عَظِيمٍ. He says in the Quran in Surah Fussilat, very beautifully, and this is my favorite verse, one of them, when it comes to social change. He says, وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ. Sins, good and evil, cannot be equal. ادْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Remove evil with something that is better. So your strategy from today should be removing evil with something that is better. And if you do that, even your enemies will become your best friends. You understand? Even those people who do not like you will become your best friends. Let's think about how to remove the evil around us, evil within us, with something that is better. Think about it. So, if I see something wrong within me, the struggle should be me first. I should change what is within me first. Allah says that in the Quran. So, removing the evil with something better, the first one is removing the evil from within myself. We're too good and too quick in giving the khutbahs and talks. Allah says, Amru bil ma'roof wa nahi anil munkar. You must enjoin good and forbid evil. We start thinking dogmatically. Oh, enjoining good and forbidding evil must be a new religion. It's not a religion. It's a dynamic lifestyle of a people, because they change the evil from within first, which has an impact. So the first and the foremost thing you must do is change the evil within yourselves, within ourselves. How do we do that? How do we do that? How do we change the evil from within ourselves? How do we become better? How do we become people who are regarded and respected? Timekeeping is one of them. You say 5 o'clock your program, you arrive at 5 o'clock. Not 7 o'clock. I go to weddings, it says 2 o'clock, but the bride and the groom come at 4. And the guests come afterward, and after they've served the food, within 10 minutes everyone has gone home. The entire deen of Allah is sincerity.
Wow! Are we sincere about everything that we do? Are we honest truly to ourselves? Are we really, truly honest to our families, our friends? Are we honest people? And Muhammad ﷺ was known as Al-Amin and As-Sadiq, the honest and the truthful person. Every time he walked the streets, when you and I walk the streets,
the non-Muslim said the terrorist is walking. It is sad. I was staying in a hotel in the Gambia. It happened the other day. One guy reported me to the owner of the hotel, saying, there is a Pakistani who is a security threat in our hotel. Can you please get rid of him? Why? Because he looks Pakistani. Just look at the mentality of what's happened to the world today. I challenged the man and I challenged the owner. I said, you're being racist. Firstly, I'm not Pakistani. And even if I'm Pakistani, you cannot say that because that's racism. My brothers and sisters, they don't make an association for no reason. Non-Muslims say, majority of the Muslims are not terrorists. That's true. Majority of the Muslims are not terrorists. They believe this. But most of the terrorist activities recently have been perpetrated by Muslims. What do you say then? I don't want to keep on defending Islam. I don't want to keep on clarifying Islam. I want to replace the evil of the world with something better. And I have to become the ambassador of Allah's deen in my life, in my qualities, in my characteristics. That's why Rasulullah says, Ad-deenu al-mu'amala. Religion is everything about social interaction. He said, I have been sent إِنِّي بُعِثْتُ لِيُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I've been sent on this earth to perfect the morality of people, conduct of people, behavior of people. My dear brothers and sisters, we as people have a duty and a responsibility. Our duty and responsibility is to make sure that we rise to the challenge. We rise to the challenge and become the best people that there are from within first. I need to become the best. Not him, not somebody else. I need to become the best. So when Allah says, idfa' billati hi ahsan, replace the evil with something that is better, we need to think about how we begin to replace the evil with something that is better. And I'm suggesting, let's start with ourselves. Let's start with ourselves. How do we start with ourselves? The child must be very hot. It is a hot room. How do we start becoming better? We begin to become those people who are honest, who are sincere, whose morals and manners are exemplary. I heard you talking earlier on. Rasulullah is known as وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Muhammad was the best of example, but most merciful, and the mercy to the entire universe is the definition of our Prophet ﷺ's character. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. O Muhammad, in you we find the supreme example of character. We as Muslims must become the standard bearer of character. Keep to our words, keep to our promises. We work hard, we don't sign on, and we don't take benefits. We don't exploit the system. We are honest people, hard-working people. We are neighborly, we love our neighbors. Rasulullah said again, Al-Muslimu man salim al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. He is not a Muslim from whose hand, the true Muslim is he from whose hand his or her neighbor is safe. Hand and tongue. Are our neighbors safe from our tongue? Are they safe from our hands? They're terrified of us being their neighbor. We need to begin that change from within ourselves. So the second thing we need to do is build that relationship with those people next door to you. Knock on your neighbor's door and introduce yourself. Assalamu alaikum. Hi, I did that. We moved our house recently. I knocked on my neighbor's door. She's a Greek woman. I said, hi. I know how to say good morning in Greek. So I said good morning to her in Greek. She was very happy. She goes to me, are you Greek? I said, no, I'm Muslim. She goes, oh. I said, don't worry, I'm a Muslim who speaks few words of Greek. Then she laughed. So we made immediate relationship, immediate discussions, immediate conversations. So we need to begin that change, my brothers and sisters, immediately, by transforming our inner being, by relationship with others, al-mu'amalat, that we are supposed to be doing. So if you change yourself, the society will change. There is a very nice story that I want to share with you. Our beloved Prophet ﷺ was so amazing. A man came to the Prophet with a bunch of grapes. And Prophet ﷺ took the bunch and he ate it. He ate it all. His companions who were sitting around were surprised. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ never does that. He always shares it with people. Why did he not share it with anyone today? So when he finished eating the grapes, the old man who gave him the grapes was very happy, he left. When he left, the companion said, Ya Rasulullah, you did not share any grapes with us today, what happened? Prophet of Allah said, this old man brought some grapes from his own farm with love and care for us, for me, the Prophet of Allah. He loves me, so he brought some grapes from his own farm. He cultivated those grapes. He looked after those grapes until they were ready for me, so he brought it. And I took it. And I ate it. When I took the first grape in my mouth, I realized, oops, these grapes are very sour. If I gave it to any one of you, you would have all made funny faces. And that would have hurt the man. That would have hurt the old man. So I ate the entire bunch and took the pain myself so that he would be happy knowing that I have loved his grapes. And he's gone. Now look at this character of the Prophet ﷺ, my brothers and sisters. We don't give a monkeys about our neighbors. We play our adhan as loudly as possible. But brother, I'm doing da'wah now. Are you? Waking up your neighbor at 4 o'clock because you want to pray Fajr, you're not doing da'wah. Your work, your relationship, your behavior, the way you park your car, the food that you eat, the way you keep your gardens clean, the way you invite them to your house, everything has a deep impact in the heart and the mind of the other person. Deep impact. This is mu'amalat, ad-deen wal-mu'amala. 21st century world in which we should live, the first relationship we should be building, we should be our neighbors. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to be a good neighbor. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to realize that we need to change ourselves first. My brothers and sisters, the third thing we should be doing is showing that we are concerned and we care about the society around us. How do we do that? By getting involved. There is neighborhood programs, right? There are neighborhood groups. There are neighborhood watch. There are neighborhood lots of things that are happening. You know what they say? These Muslims are taking all the advantage, doing nothing in return. How many of us actually get involved in the neighborhood activities? Get to know one another a bit more through activities. Cleaning our streets, helping the elderly, knocking on the doors of people who may need a bit of help with their shopping. Maybe they need their fence painted. Maybe they need a home decoration one day. Maybe the imam should locally organize free decoration weekend where you should volunteer. Maybe you should go and cook for somebody one day. My brothers and sisters, we should show that we care. We care in everything. We care about their well-being. Rasulullah said, خَيْرُ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ. The best of people are those who are beneficial to others. Are we being beneficial to the world where we live? In Britain where we live, are we benefiting the non-Muslims around us? How are they benefiting by our presence in Britain today? Some of you may be. But how are they benefiting by you doing something for them? I tell you a story. A brother told me this the other day. He said, every Friday night, my dear brother, he said to me, every Friday night, 4 of my friends, we come together and we put £10, £20, whatever we can in a pocket, in a pot. We then take that money to our local Tesco's or Sainsbury's and we buy do some shopping. We then come home and cook. We make soup, we make some food, and we take it to our town centre. And in that town centre, we invite the homeless people. And every Friday, everyone knows that we'll be there regardless. Even in snow, or the winter evenings, what doesn't matter, we're there. And you know, brother, I feed at least 100 homeless every week. Local mayor called it. The MP wanted to go and take a photograph because they're not interested. I'm only interested in serving people. Please don't make anything out of it. Not interested. Other councils said, come and do the same. He said, no, you do your own. I'm serving my people. My brothers and sisters, small acts of generosity will win you and I huge friendship in this country. Small acts of generosity will win you and I huge favors in this country. And we're not doing that at all. We're too busy cooking our own food, feeding our own families, and forgetting about everybody else. Show you care. Become governor of a school locally. Become a councillor in the local council election. Stand for the next MP election and become an MP or a European parliamentary candidate and become a parliamentarian in Europe, or campaign for or against the coming referendum the government has launched. Talk about the poverty in this country. Go and do something about it, my brothers and sisters. Show that you care. If you care, they will come to you. Idfa' billati hi ahsan. Replace the evil with something that is better. And if you do, Allah says, your worst of enemy will become your best of friends. Allah is lying? No. Allah doesn't lie. We have a problem. We're thinking about grand scheme of things while something over here is missing. There's a man who came home and he said, a teacher, he said to his students, I am the leader of my home. I'm the boss. I do everything and my wife doesn't do much. He was teaching, he was saying, he says, I decide on everything major and my wife decides on everything minor. So the student said, such as what? He said, I decide on who's going to be the next. I discuss and I think and philosophize about the future of the world. I think about the presidential election in America. I think about the spacecraft going to Mars. I think about the football team who's going to win next. I think about big things. My wife thinks about the children of our education of our children. She thinks about which house we live, how much rent we pay, what food we eat. She decides on small things. course, this teacher was teaching his student the reverse. You're thinking about big, right? Don't think too big. Immediately there is something that we need to do. Urgently we need to do, and that is our neighborhood, our locality, our country. This is the place where you need to start serving the people. Most of you probably give money away in Sri Lanka when there is a crisis. How many of you give away money to crisis in Britain? Don't answer it. Kerala, sorry, Kerala, South India. How many of you give, thank you for correcting that. How many of you give money to the needs here rather than Kerala? Think about it, my brothers and sisters. It's very important to understand that charity starts at home. Allah will say on the Day of Judgment, did you give to your neighbor who was poor? Ya Allah, my neighbor was John. I didn't give him anything, he was a non-Muslim. Well, your neighbor. What did Rasulullah say about neighbor? He said, the one who's next door to you. The companion of the Prophet said, O Prophet of Allah, what if I've got two neighbors? He said, the ones whose door is closest to your door has more right over you. Look at how practical it is. In other words, go out and check whose door is close to you. That neighbor has more right over you. What kind of rights? Rasulullah said, I was worried that Allah will reveal verses saying they will inherit my wealth. That kind of right. So brothers and sisters, the fourth most important thing we can do to make ourselves relevant in this country is show that you care and you're concerned and get involved and be relevant. Irrelevant people become nobodies. Number 5 is where you start talking and articulating big. What kind of Islam would you like to present to the non-Muslims? Well, there is only one Islam. Of course, whether you come from Outer Mongolia or Timbuktu, there is only one Islam. What is that Islam? That Islam is, what's the first command of Islam? Read. An enlightened community, thank you. An enlightened community. Vision for Islam. Non-Muslims think Muslims are backward. They don't understand. They don't read. In fact, maybe they're right when it comes to large number of Muslims, but I believe we have talents within our community who can give the world what the world got from us before. I'm saying, let's think big. What kind of Islam would we like to present to the non-Muslims? So when I'm debating with non-Muslims, I often say, a few days ago somebody started a debate with me. He said, I don't like Sharia. I said, okay. I said to him, explain to me, what do you understand by Sharia? He said, the barbaric laws, the ones that cut your hands off, stones adulterers to death, that kind of barbaric laws, those laws I don't like. I said, what is the purpose of Sharia, do you know? He goes, well, to force everybody to become Muslim. I said, very interesting. He goes, did you know, in Islam, Sharia has 5 objectives. It's called Maqasid of Sharia. Maqasid of Sharia is 5, according to Shatibi, and other scholars have added a few more. 5 objectives are to protect life, to protect intellect, to protect property, to protect faith and family. 5. And other scholars have said dignity and honor of human beings and universal human rights. 7. He said to me, really? This is the purpose of Sharia? I said, yes. This is the purpose of Sharia. He goes, well, then I don't think there's a problem. I said, so you don't know much about Sharia? He goes, well, my neighbors told me Sharia is about cutting the hands of the thieves. How many of us actually know the 7 or 5 primary objectives of Sharia, maqasid of Sharia? Before I said this, did you know this? No. How many of you knew? Put your hands up if you knew. Wow. And we are Muslims. A few maybe, 1 or 2. And we are Muslims. We don't know the 5 primary objectives of Sharia. Is to protect life. Put it in your memory. Protect life. Protect intellect. Protect property. Protect family. And faith. 5 fundamental protection Sharia provides. And 2 more have been added. Honor and dignity of humanity and human rights. You go and tell the non-Muslims from today, Sharia is about protecting your life. Sharia is about protecting your property. Sharia is about protecting your intellect. It's about protecting your families and your faith, your honor and your dignity and your human rights. Which non-Muslim would say they have a problem with Sharia? I can't see one. But we are not able to articulate this. The entire Quran has been revealed for one reason. What is that reason? Why has the Quran been revealed? Well, that's probably one of the maqasid, but give me one reason, more tangible reason why people should, why Quran came down.
Way of life.
No. Way of life, yes, but it's not the purpose. It's to establish justice on this earth. The entire Quran is about creating justice, balance between this world and the hereafter, relationship with myself and Allah, relationship with one another. All of this is called justice. Now tell the non-Muslims, Islam is about justice. Not just in words, explain to them why it is about justice. Talk to them from the Quran. Talk to them from the Sunnah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah says, "I'dilu huwa aqrabu lit-taqwa." Be just. That is the closest you can ever be to Allah consciousness. Taqwa is the purpose of everyone's worship. We worship Allah because we want to be muttaqi, Allah conscious, correct? Allah is saying, you cannot be muttaqi by prayers. You cannot be muttaqi by fasting. The most and the closest way to become muttaqi is by being just. I'dilu. You can become taqwa orientated by praying, of course. You can become taqwa orientated by fasting, of course. But the collective justice of the world will make you more muttaqi. I'dilu. Allah says in the Quran, do not let your hatred of people take you away from being just. If you hate somebody, you have to still be fair. My brothers and sisters, Deen of Allah is big. So, fifth point I was making to you was that articulate the true vision of Islam to the world, to yourself, to your children, to your family, and see the transformation. You know, dogma is easy. Tell your children to pray is very easy. Give them the reason why to pray, that's difficult. How many of you have spoken to your children about why they should pray? Not just they must pray, but why they should pray. How many of you have told your children why they should know the Quran, why they should know the life of the Prophet, why they should know Islam? Why, rather than how. How is easy. It's a lesson. But why requires thinking. You need to instill in their minds. My son the other day was very upset. I came home. I said to him, what's the matter, my boy? He said, Daddy, one of my friends swore at me. And I don't like that. I said, how does it feel? Because it hurts. I'm very upset. I said to him, so what would you like to do? Because I'd like to go and tell him. What would you like to tell him? I would like to tell him that it hurts. He should not swear at me. I said, that's fine. It's a good thing to do. But what would you say to him? He said, I don't know. I said, did you know, Ibrahim, that when somebody swears, the swear word is thrown to the heavens, to the skies. And the angels catch it. And then they throw it back at the person who swore. So his little boy, his mind is thinking already. I can imagine he's imagining the swear word going up to the sky, little boys, little girls, imagination, and the angels grabbing it and throwing it back at the person who swore. I can imagine him thinking this. And he goes to me, Daddy, the angels must have a very good aim then. I knew he was thinking. Do you know why I knew he was thinking? Because he was imagining the angels throwing it back at the person who swore. He will never swear. My son will never swear after this one. Because he knows the rationale behind why swearing is not good. It hurts. It causes displeasure of Allah. And anyway, you don't gain anything. It comes back on your face. Talk to people. Give them rationale. Tell the world what Islam is about. Don't be shy. Tell your children, tell yourself what Islam is. Articulate a vision for Islam. My brothers and sisters, that's where we are stuck. Articulate a vision for Islam. Dogma is easy, as I said. But Islam is not only a set of dogmas. Those are rituals, only a few amounts. 5 daily prayers, each of them take 5 to 10 minutes each. Maximum 1 hour a day you spend in prayers. Fast only once a year in Ramadan, for the whole month of Ramadan. You do Hajj once in your lifetime. You pay zakat only once every year. Hang on. That's it? That's all we needed to do? No. It's about changing that thinking and making that lifestyle so much more dynamic and vibrant that the world sees what happens to you when you follow those rituals and you think big. The world sees the impact. My brothers and sisters, you know, I have a simple thought. My thought is, if I become a good example of Islam, others will find Islam interesting. That's my simple formula. If I become a good example of Islam, I believe others will find Islam interesting. I'm still to meet anyone who, after speaking, said, you know what, I still hate Islam. I still haven't found anyone like that. If they sit with me or anybody else and have a rational conversation, they will change their mind. They don't have to embrace Islam. That's not your business. This is Allah's. Our duty is to articulate a vision. So I've given you 5 things today. Those 5 things, if we can follow, we will have a very different community than the one we have today in Britain. A very different communities. My brothers and sisters, replace the evil around you, inside you, with something that is better. idfa' billati hi ahsan. The Arabic word ahsan is superlative, is better than hasan. Excellence is ihsan, but ahsan is even more. Brothers and sisters, please keep those 5 things in mind and begin that process of transformation from within now. Collectively we can change. Don't worry. The hardship that we're going through right now will change. Will definitely go away. Allah says that in the Quran. أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. Do you think you will say, I believe, and you will not be tested? Those who came before you were tested. Tested because Allah wants to establish those who are sadaqu, those who are truthful, and those who are kadhibin, liars. That's the test. And whenever test comes to وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, Allah says in the Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah says, and Allah will test you with fear, with loss, with hunger. He will test you and I. Give good news to those who are patient, even when they're tested. So the test that we are facing every day in our neighborhoods, testing that we are facing when we're traveling in the underground, facing the test that we're facing when we're traveling on the plane, like I did the other day when I was going to America. Did you see that? Some of you must have. They decided that I can't go to America. It's okay, no problem. The world, Allah's world is big enough. I can go anywhere else. But you know what, brothers and sisters? Our struggle must continue. Our struggle must continue. Somebody said to me, it's a good thing it happened to you. I said, why? It's a good thing it happened to you that they revoked the visa. It's become a public knowledge now. Everybody, I mean, there was a Monday and a Tuesday when from China to South Africa, every newspaper headline was British Imams, US visa was revoked. America was so embarrassed. They had pressure from every corner. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, remember Allah says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. And then what does he say? Whenever troubles come, what do they say? قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Say, it's from Allah, we have come and to Him we shall return. Any time a Muslim is content, no matter what happens. So, parting word, my final word is, whatever happens, don't worry about it. If you are determined, if you're sincere, if you're honest, if you're truthful, if you remain steadfast on this deen, your troubles will not be troubles. Inshallah, they will be your test. And you will succeed, and we shall overcome. Remember this word. We shall overcome. Inshallah. We shall overcome. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, so if you've got any questions, raise your hand and we'll be happy to take your questions. Sister here. Go ahead.
So I wanted to ask you, because in your speech you mentioned we have to help our close neighbors first before we send help to our depot. If we have a very poor family near our house, that means very close to our house, instead of we helping these people or that, which one we have to do, we have to give the first preference. Please.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question in return.
Of course.
On the Day of Judgment, Allah will ask you and I about our wealth, our time, our age, our health. The most important question about wealth and charity would be, Allah will say, I came to you hungry, I came to you thirsty, and I came to you destitute. You turned me away. Who is Allah talking about? He's talking about human beings. So, if a human being from Wembley was to be destitute, hungry, and thirsty, your duty is to provide them that first. Remember the saying of the Prophet, he is not a Muslim who goes to sleep with his stomach full or her stomach full while his or her neighbor sleeps hungry. Neighbor. We're not even a Muslim if we go to sleep with our stomach full. So we have to be very concerned about our neighbors. Once we have fulfilled the duties of our neighbors, once you've done that, then you extend it to more people, the town people, etc. My father, when he is not well now, when he was managing all this. So I made a deal with my father that all my zakat money I will dispose of any way I want. Every year during Ramadan, I'll give him my fitra money and he can do what he likes with it. So that was my compromise, because he would give money to Bangladesh. So I'll say, oh, you can send it to Bangladesh, no problem. I will only give you my fitra money. My zakat money I'll spend in causes that I believe needs my money locally. Any sadaqat I want to give, I will choose any part of the world where my sadaqat should go. Sadaqat is my voluntary charity. Obligatory one, as far as I'm concerned, zakat must be spent in the right causes in the places where it is needed most. So if you do things like that, prioritize, apportion it, and share it, you're far better. But I want you to start thinking rather than asking questions about figures. Think, why? Why? Because Allah says in the Quran, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. You shall become witnesses upon people. And part of being witnesses upon people is to care for them. And if we become witnesses upon people, prophets will become witnesses for us on the Day of Judgment. So prioritize and begin the process of being the witness, true witness to the people around. When a man came to the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, "Oh Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, oh Prophet of Allah, please give me some food I've not eaten," he just gave. He didn't ask if he's a Muslim or non-Muslim. He said, "Yeah, Aisha, do you have anything?" "Yes, I have a glass of milk." "Give it to him." Never asked. So give to your neighbors when you're asked for, but prioritize. That's the answer to it. Any other questions from anybody else? Yes.
So, regarding the zakat, if we are allowed to give a non-Muslim people who is very poor,
Zakat has got 8 categories of people who can receive zakat. 8 categories. It's in the Quran. 7 or 8 categories. As long as those criteria are met, it doesn't have to be a Muslim. It can be anybody, but they have to meet those criteria. Of course, those criteria you can consult and find out more specifically.
that's non-Muslim or Muslim,
Anybody.
doesn't matter.
Anybody. As long as they meet the criteria laid out in the Quran. Very clear. It doesn't have to be a Muslim.
On behalf of these youngsters, I mean, we have everybody.
You're young too.
I mean, teenagers
Yes.
coming up, because we have, the problems now we are facing. And you asked about involvement in local activities. So is there any tip or is there any place in London, so I know different councils, is that to go through mosques or any local councils? Or youngsters to get involved
Okay.
in local programs?
So you're talking about youngsters. You know what you should actually do you should create your own scouts group. Are you all listening? Scouts group for young people. There is a Muslim Scouts Association, I think. You can join them, you can create your own. When I was younger, I used to belong to an organization called Young Muslims. We did so much fun we used to have. We used to go to mountain climbing, we used to go to camping, learning, knowledge. We had so many things. I've done them from a very young age. You need to have a dynamic youth group. If you keep on bringing them to boring lectures, they will not be interested. You need to give them activities. They like football, they like games, they like sports, they even like play on the computer. I don't recommend that because that makes you brain dead. You know, when you're playing with the PlayStation all the time, the brain is dead, I'm sorry. I'm talking about physical activities, taking them to places, exciting places. So as long as you can create an exciting program for young people, they'll be interested. Of course, make it knowledgeable, make it such that it becomes part of your seeking of knowledge. So inshallah, if you can create, and younger ones, you should take responsibility for yourself, because life is yours, future is yours. If you think you want to do something, talk about it to your families and friends. Why would you not find opportunities when a country is full of opportunities here? People from all over the world come here for opportunities. So my suggestion to you is create your own. If not, join the existing ones, scouts organizations. There are youth activities going on in different mosques. Nationally, young Muslims still exist. You can try and see if you want to join with them. But you know what? Don't leave young people to themselves. Because leaving young people to themselves is like leaving your chicken with the wolf, saying, please look after my chicken, it will be okay. You won't find them afterward. My father told me when he came to this country, somebody said to him, young man, we have you in this country. We won't be able to win your hearts, we understand, but we'll have your children. And that man was right. Okay, sister there, sister here. Go on, you first.
Thank you very much for a very inspiring speech. Actually, this is the first time I'm hearing so many practical steps that we can actually take to reduce Islamophobia. And one of the main things in most Islamic discourses, you hear some victim mentality of Muslims. They always still blame the colonial culture and use it as an excuse to be in that position. It's not a question, it's just a statement.
My sister is saying that Muslims always make excuses. It's somebody else's fault. It's America's fault. It's colonial masters' fault. Is this 100 years ago the colonial masters left? I want to give you an example. Japan and Germany was destroyed at Second World War. Am I right? It was completely destroyed by the Allied forces, flattened to the ground. What happened to the Germans and the Japanese now? Very powerful people. They rose from their ashes and they've become very powerful. At the same time, most Muslim countries became independent. Near the same time, right? Majority of them are still at the bottom. They're still lying below the ashes. Why? It's not America's fault. It's not the colonial masters' fault. It's our fault. It's the Muslim countries' fault. If Muslims really, really wanted to change, they could have changed. I know there are lots of other issues. So you're right, my sister. We are not victims. In Britain, you're not victims. This is your home. In this country, you're not a victim at all. You are a change maker. You are an ambassador. You are a citizen. You're a Muslim. You're not a victim in this country. Shrug it off. Don't think about victimhood anymore. If you lived in India or in Bangladesh or Pakistan or Sri Lanka or any other parts of the world and you said you're a victim, I understood. I can understand. But here there is no reason for you to say that. None whatsoever. Yes, there are some discriminations, but we fight back. Have I been discriminated? Sometimes. Do I fight back? Yes. You try and discriminate me. See what happens. When I was younger, yes, I fought racism. But today, you be racist with me, you won't get away with it. You be Islamophobe with me, you will not get away with it. Why? Because I know I'm not a victim. I'm not your servant. I'm not your slave. I am a citizen like you are. I said this to somebody the other day. I said, don't you talk to me like I'm your slave. I am a citizen like you. And he didn't know what hit him. And I didn't use my hand. I said very, very powerfully, using my passion to him, only words. And he understood. So, you're right. We're not victims. And teach our children, you're not victims. You are the champions. And you can change the world if you want to. Yes, young lady.
In your speech, you talked about giving money to the homeless people and helping them out. What is that money for drugs and gambling? Do you still give
No. If somebody is going to use the money for drugs and gambling or alcohol abuse, you don't.
But how would we do if we all need?
Or a beggar on the street, I wouldn't give just like that. I would go through a charity organization. Because often when you give people who are on the street, they're drug addicts. They only go and fill their drug habits. So you shouldn't. I remember the other day, a person came to me and said to me, please can you give me £1 for some sandwich? I said, no, I'm not going to give you £1, but come with me, I'll buy you a sandwich. He goes, no. I said, I'm going to buy you a sandwich. It may cost you £5, but I'll buy you a sandwich. Come. You can have a drink, you can have a sandwich, you can have a packet of crisp and a bar of chocolate. Come. He goes, no. I said, so why do you want £1? He goes, for me to buy a sandwich. I said, no, you're lying. You're there either going to buy alcohol or drugs, and I'm not going to help you with that. He walked away. So, you're right. We need to become very vigilant. But in this country, there are so many organizations you can give money to who are helping victims of these kind of situations and who are helping people to come out of it. There are Muslim kids who are drug addicts. There are Muslim kids who are also on the street, rough living. There are many sisters who are getting thrown out of their own homes because of domestic abuse. They need help and shelter. You can give money for those projects, right? You can help those. But you're right, don't give away money to street beggars because you may be wasting your money. Thank you for asking that question. Gentlemen here.
Yeah, just going back to that point where Muslims actually blame others. We're always blaming Israel or America for every fault we have. Now, what can we do, say, from ordinary people like us, community leaders and mosques, to change that attitude so at least we can start looking at ourselves and say, look, the problem is within us rather than other people. The blame culture is very easy. So
what can we do to change that blame culture? We always blame Israel and America as far as brother here is concerned. How can we change that? Education. Have this kind of frank conversation. What is it that is stopping you and I from becoming full citizen of Britain? Anything in this country is stopping you? No. Anything that is stopping you is yourself. If you want to become multi-billionaire, who's stopping you? If you want to open up 10 mosques, who's stopping you? What you need in this country is hard-working culture, hard-working mentality, and you can do anything you want. Look, let's take America for example. Donald Trump. What a moron. I say this publicly. It would be a great tragedy for America if he becomes the president. But I won't be surprised, they did elect Bush. But where did Trump come from? You know, Donald Trump's family come from Germany. Originally his grandfather was German, who came, who then got convicted for not paying taxes, ran away, came to Germany, but was deported back, served his time, and started buying real estate. And this is the real estate that he inherited, which he has then used to become the multi-billionaire now, wanting to be the president. Donald Trump is not a good example. Barack Obama is a good example. A black man. His ancestors may not have been direct slaves, but other black people were slaves in America. For not 100 years, 300 to 400 years. 300 years. But he as a black man has become the president of America. When I went to Gambia, they took me to an island called James Island. It's actually called Kinta Kunta Island, or Kunta Kunta Island. There was a man called Kinta Kunte who was Gambian, a Muslim scholar who was taken to America. He refused to become anything and remained loyal as Muslim, and that island has been given that name. The significance of that island, my brothers and sisters, is that this used to be the last post where they would gather the slaves and then put them on the ship and then take them to Portugal, Spain, and then to Britain and to America. Before, one of the most tragic story was, the last of it, was when British were ruling and they decided to end slavery. The last slaves, the 93 slaves who were on that island, were given an option by the British. They were told, if you can swim a 3-kilometer sea and reach at this particular destination, which is on the land, where they dug a hole and put a pole, which they called it a freedom pole. They said to the 93 slaves, if you can swim and reach the freedom pole, you're free. And they left, and all 93 drowned. And the British slave masters had the choice to give them a ride to the shore, but they chose to let them drown and be dead. That's past, right? That's past. Don't be ashamed of talking about it. But you're not slave anymore. In fact, you're not slave at all. We have become slaves of our own minds today. We think 100 years ago our country was colonized, in your case up till 1947. That happened a long time ago. And most of you were not even there. If you were there, you were too young. So you are free. Believe in yourself, my brothers and sisters, like this brother is saying. Let's change that culture. I am free. I am free to be what I want to be. And if we begin that conversation, it will change. Take time. What will do, inshallah, will change. Yes, young lady. It's okay. It's okay. I can hear her.
So what, like, the nearest neighbour to you is like a flat and there's one
The one whose door is closest to your house. You take a measuring tape and measure whose door is next to mine. That neighbour has more rights over you. It's okay. You're still the flat. Anyone who lives next door to you. Then you try and help as many as you can. You should help as many as you can. That's all. If you try and help, Allah will make it easy for you. And you know, when you give up, when you give things to the poor and the needy, do you know what happens? Allah opens up the door for you. I'll give you an example and I'll finish. It will be my last one. I went to Africa, Gambia, to build a mosque. And I laid down the foundation for building the mosque. A couple of days later, I was going to James Island. So I came to the ferry port. And in Africa, if you've been, just like in India, things are not very systematic. So it was a huge chaos. Everyone was fighting to get on the ferry. My driver said, it was going to take you a very long time, sir, unless you bribe somebody. I said, I'm not bribing anyone. I said, you stay here, even if it takes me 5 hours, I'm not bribing anyone. He said, okay. So we sat down. I went, it's okay. I went up, looking around. I had my camera, I was taking pictures. Somebody suddenly came and tapped on my shoulder and said, excuse me. I said, yes. He goes, I know you. I said, how do you know? He goes, you were building a mosque in my village. When you were laying the foundation, I was there. I said, oh. Police officer in full uniform. He goes to me, I am the deputy in charge of the port. Are you going somewhere? I said, I'm going to James Island. He goes, are you taking a ferry? I said, yes. He goes, do you have a car? I said, yes. He goes, where is your car? I said, over there, back of the line. He goes, okay, come with me. He took me to the chief of the port and he said, this is the man who is building a mosque in my village. I was there when he was laying a foundation. He wants to go to James Island. His car is right behind over there. It's going to take him 4 to 5 hours before he boards. Can you help? The chief says, sure. He says to the police officers, can you go and get the car, please? And put it on the ferry, the next one going, and you drive it. I said to myself, just imagine, right? I'm in Africa. I'm British. I'm Asian. I don't know anyone African. And yet, he knows me because I was laying one foundation for a mosque in his village. You do something for Allah, what does Allah do? Opens up doors for you. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The whole journey was full of these kind of stories I can tell you forever. So believe in Allah in giving as much as you can. Allah will give much more in return. I can see one hand at the back, the last one. I did say last one before, but go on.
It's not a question, I just need to know your opinion about it.
Tell me.
In our society, it's again marrying someone from a different country, even though they're Muslims. What's your opinion about it?
Good point.
The reason I'm asking it because my mate recently got married, and both our parents were against it, but I just want to know your opinion about it.
He wants to know, what do I think about marriage when it comes to boys or girls getting married to people who are different to their culture, as long as they're Muslim. Well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Prophet ﷺ said you should get married for one reason only. Usually people get married for 4 reasons. Number 1, wealth. Number 2, beauty. Number 3, nobility, family. And number 4, character, deen. Then Prophet ﷺ said, the person who gets married for character or deen is the one who will be successful. So, when it comes to marriage, my brothers and sisters, that is a different talk on its own. Organizers can organize a marriage talk, inshallah, or we can talk about it. But please do not be racist when it comes to marriage. Racism is haram.